Welcome back, Mongo Fix. If you didn't catch the earlier episodes, Mongo picked this up from pretty famous TikToker, JASMIN, beautiful color. Number 3, connecting rod decided to blow out through the side of the block.
I can see you.
Pull that one out, pick up a nice junkyard Malibu engine. Supposed to run good. So today we're going to put that in here. When we pull this engine out, Mongo left the exhaust manifold on. Those 2 bolt holes right there to the tranny, kind of tough to get to. So Mongo going to put it in with the exhaust manifold off. Oopsies! Mongo forgot to take the crank bolt out. Well, with this car, you got to make sure that goofy little transmission to engine bracket in place, at least resting there, so you can kind of see it sticking out there right by that half shaft. And then we got to start aligning stuff. So this is a little dowel right here. It's got to go inside. Little transmission hole right there where a bolt goes through. Fun to try to line up by yourself. Just nice and slow, and be sure to watch everything at one time. Pretty close right there. Mongo got one hole threaded in the back by the trans. Dowels are lining up pretty close. Just needs a little extra tension to the rear. Oh, there she slid. Now we get Mr. Motor Mount set in here. Get these guys all tightened up pretty good. Got one bolt in the back. It not tight. There's basically snugged it up, backed it out half a turn. This engine come out of a Malibu. So in the Malibu, it used these 2 bolt holes on the oil pan. The Saturn needs these 2 bolt holes. So there was one really long bolt. You know, most of the bolts are like this one. There was one really long one. It goes all the way through there to the transmission mount. Get the crank pulley bolt back in. Now we got to connect the torque converter to flywheel bolts. And that done right up there through the starter. Couple things to note. Mongo always put a little bit of blue Loctite on the threads for them bolts. Flywheels usually have one hole that's kind of elliptical like that one. See how it's not quite round? We spin to the next one. And that hole pretty round. Always start with the elliptical shaped hole. And then don't snug it up, just get it in. And then spin it around and it'll spin the transmission. Then you can get the other ones in. Once you get them all in, you can torque them down to 44 foot-pounds. And I would recommend putting a little 18mm ball swivel on the end so you can get good torque out of it. Can't forget about our little transmission to engine brace thing. Well, Mom will figure out this wiring now. Kind of get her laid out. Gotta pull the old bolt off that one. Oh, and there's supposed to be a bracket. Yep, gotta pull that off the other engine. Pull these towels out for coolant. That way we don't forget. Because you don't want to leave a towel in an orifice. That's just bad news waiting to happen. Decided to do the front bottom first, so this little sensor plugged in, and get this little sensor plugged in. And we got the knock sensor hooked up there. And we get the ground hooked up. These wires go up over top between the oil dipstick tube and the intake. So these 2 wires go together on the starter stud. And then this little connector is the signal wire for the starter. Just remember the starter, one bolt there, the other way up top, which you can usually not see while you're putting it in. Just be sure not to cross-thread that, otherwise you'll be in trouble. Don't be in trouble. The AC compressor all bolted up. Starter all bolted up. All the wires cleaned and connected. Of course, that compressor very dirty. Probably give it a bath at the very end. The exhaust came with 2 gaskets, sets, pairs, whatever. Mongo gonna use this one because this is the same style that came off the car. Yeah, just run them in by hand. Look like this one didn't go all the way. Just gonna wrap the threads and put some channel locks on here. There we go. That way it doesn't damage the threads. This exhaust gasket, it only go one way. So you just gotta line up your bolt holes. So we're gonna go that way on there. Put the gasket on first, then the manifold, and torque these nuts to 15 foot-pounds. Just some slight modification for that crooked stud. Though some people might say, you know, Mongo, you really messed that thing up. Mongo wanted to show that it's still fine, it's not ideal, but you can still do it. You can still assemble everything. It'll still be fine. So a little modification of that gasket. As long as you don't damage the surface around the ports, it'll be just fine. Engines are tough. Get some coolant hoses on. A lot of these electrical connectors, they pretty yucky, got some oil, bunch of residue, so Mongo, you get this electronic cleaner, just spraying out all the connectors before hooking them up, actually. Give them a spray, give them a shake. Our harness down here for the O2 sensor. Get our coolant temp sensor plugged in too. Gotta hook our ground back up. Get our coil packs on. Do up our oil pressure sensors on the variable valve timing. Uh-oh, that one different. And we can't forget our little fuel line. One click in. And angle that guy up. Clamp it over. And she's locked in. Vacuum booster for the brakes hooked up. Got all of our front electrical connectors hooked up. Got our clamp on this little return. Can't forget our little PCV hose thing. This little sensor solenoid thing here, gonna have to get changed out because it's not the right one for this wire harness. So there's a little 10mm bolt down there holding it in. This is the little oil control solenoid thing for the exhaust side of the variable valve timing. Basically, when it gets activated, it adjusts and moves to change the amount of oil flow through there. So there's a bunch of seals in there, so it helps to have one of these little flatheads. Get underneath the little hold down thing. Can kind of see here the two different shapes. Oh, that is one ugly alternator. Hooking up the battery, cause it's time. Got the exhaust heat shield on, all the exhaust hooked up. This one does not take the gasket. Got the alternator in, serpentine belt. All the electricals hooked up front. Still got to do the top thingy. Need this goofy bracket because it supports the air intake, the induction system. Gonna leave the engine cover off because got to check everything for leaks. You know, when you do a job this size, everything got to get checked for leaks. Nice new air filter. Oh, silly Mongo. Forgot the upper radiator hose. Why didn't nobody say you forgot upper radiator hose?
Mongo, you forgot to upper radiator hose.
That would have been cool. That was nice. Try not to spill it everywhere, I guess. Don't worry, she's gonna take this whole thing and this 50-50 pre-dilute. Fresh engines need fresh oil. Full of oil. Check. Bunch of coolant. Check. Of course, that's going to go down as the engine runs and whatnot. It's slowly going down as we speak. If Mongo do this right, the engine should fire right up. Here's the risk of a junkyard engine. You never know what was actually wrong with the engine. People can say all sorts of stuff like, oh, that was a good running motor. Oh, yeah, she's good to go, top notch. Oh, you'll never be disappointed in that, baby. You never actually know until you get her in, get it all hooked up, and hit the crank button. We may have check engine lights due to bad sensors. It may not start at all due to some sort of previous issue with this motor. Give her hell or give her high water. Before we give her the high water, let's see what hell will give her. Let the fuel pump prime a little bit. Oh, fired up on the first start. No check Vincent light. They got a tire monitor light, but oh well. Now she's probably gonna smoke like crazy because of all the random oil and everything that was sitting around, so that'll be fun. Well, Jasmine lives to serve another day. Still a little high on coolant, but we'll see how that goes. No leaks anywhere. No oil leaks, no coolant leaks. Well, got the hood back on and she is ready to go. Mongo gonna leave the engine cover off because it looked better that way. You can actually see stuff, work on stuff, no more pesky bullcrap cover. Hopefully this video will help you if you ever need to do a 2.4 liter engine swap on your Saturn. Well, if you like this video, be sure to like this video. If you like this video and other videos from Mongo Fix, be sure to subscribe. Mongo always working on all sorts of stuff. Mongo, thank you.